As some of you know, I started working as a developer advocate for Google a while ago. In this video, I want to share with you my tips on becoming a developer advocate. All of these tips are based on my own experience. Number 1, pick your technology. I suggest you start out by picking your technology that you want to specialize on. Now for me, that was AppScript, which is part of Google Workspace. For you, this might be Node.js or Flutter or Firebase or Angular or any other specific technology or service that you're interested in. But it might also be a bit more of a broader technology, kind of like cloud services, web technology. So not one specific product, but more kind of like a segment of technology. Now, some might argue that this is not really necessary because it's possible that when you get hired as a developer advocate, you might be advocating for a different technology or a different product. But if you hear tip number 2, which will come up in a couple of seconds, you'll understand why I personally believe it makes sense to start out your journey of becoming a developer advocate by picking your technology. Number 2, share your knowledge. Now you know why I suggest you start out by picking your technology, because only once you've done that can you start sharing your knowledge with others. How could you do that? Well, in my case, it was my YouTube channel where I released every week a video about Google Workspace and about every third week a video about AppScript, so video tutorials. And I also shared my knowledge on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Now for you, this might be a bit different. So depending on your possibilities and also on your personal preferences, you might start writing a blog about the technology you're specialized on. Maybe you would like to make video tutorials and publish it on YouTube or on TikTok. Obviously, they would have to be much shorter. Maybe LinkedIn, Twitter, or any other social media channel that you feel comfortable with would be a good place for you to freely and also methodically and scheduled, so not just once in a while, but really in a recurring way, start using or sharing your knowledge. Number 3, connect with the community. Find the community for the technology that you've specialized on. Now, I did this by finding the AppScript experts on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and I started engaging with them. So I would reshare their posts, I would ask them questions, I would read their blog posts, learn from them, and really start interacting with them and also becoming part of the community myself. Now, social media is a great place to do so, but tech conferences and meetups where people from that community will be there is also a great way to get to know them. Now, why do I suggest this? Why is this important? Well, on the one hand, it's a great way for you to learn from other experts. But once you do become a developer advocate, well, guess who you're going to be speaking to? That community. So it's easier for you to already know, what are the challenges they're dealing with? What are the good things that they're doing that you then as a developer advocate can promote and speak about? So that's why I think it's very important to reach out to the community for the technology you've specialized in. Number 4, research expert programs. Lots of technology providers have expert programs that you can enroll in. Now, in my case, I became a Google developer expert for Google Workspace. In my specific case, I was specialized on AppScript. Now, a lot of these technology providers have these expert programs. You'll find information about it, and they usually will also let you know what the requirements are for you to enroll in that program. So very important, have a look at those requirements so that you know what you have to be working towards. Why do I think these expert programs are valuable for you as a developer or a technology specialist? Well, very often it will give you early access to new features that will be launched before the general public can start using them. But it also is a way to give feedback on the product, on the services. So this is something that the companies are very interested in getting. So what do the experts think of their products? What has to maybe be adapted? Another benefit is that often you'll be invited to speak at conferences as one of the experts. Depending on the expert program, you might even get the travel, get the costs that are incurred by this conference talk paid by the company. But it also benefits you in the way that you are validated as an expert. This can be very important if you, for example, are a freelancer. So this might distinguish you, set you apart from other freelancers who offer the same services. Number 5, do it for the right reason. This tip might sound a bit odd, but hear me out. So the main task of a developer advocate is not to become a superstar, although some developer advocates have reached a certain amount of fame and prestige in their industry. So that might come as a byproduct of being a developer advocate. But at the core, being a developer advocate is about showing empathy and helping others. So my opinion is, if you now set out on this path of becoming a developer advocate and you already put yourself in that mindset of, I want to share my technology knowledge with others to help them, to inspire them so that they can go off and do really cool stuff, well, then you're already in the right mindset to be a good developer advocate. And that's why I believe it's important to do this for the right reason. How long will it take you? So, 2 questions. First of all, is success guaranteed if you follow all of these 5 tips? Well, no, it's not. Second, if success does happen, when will it happen? When will you get your first job of being a developer advocate? Well, I wish I could answer that. But what I can tell you is that it took me 2.5 years from picking my technology until I became a developer advocate at Google. Now, I would like to mention Steve Jobs. He had this iconic talk where he spoke about connecting the dots. So learning or doing certain things, having or taking certain decisions that when you look back are the reason why you are there where you are now. And the same is true for me. When I did all of these 5 things that I mentioned in this video, I didn't set out to become a developer advocate. I knew that the job existed. I thought it was super interesting, but it wasn't my goal. But looking back, if I would have not have done these 5 steps, I wouldn't be a developer advocate today, or at least the chances would be very small for me being a developer advocate. So in my opinion, me doing these 5 steps are what led me to where I am now. And it's very well possible that it can lead you to your dream job of being a developer advocate. Please leave us a like if you liked the tips in this video. And if there's anything else connected to my job as a developer advocate at Google that interests you, let me know in the comments section below. I also suggest you to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos.